Arpan Mishra, Ashutosh Marshi, Ayush Bothra, Ishpreet Singh, Janvi Singh, Karan Agarwal, Ayush Agarwal, Meghna Dhuria, Naman Jalan, Naveen Chandlani, Navya Singh, Neha Singh Rathur, Priyam Milan, Raghav Dubey, Sambhav Garg, Sanya Kamar, Sarvansh Sinha, Saurabh Yadav, Shara Khan, Shreya Dharan, Shubham Singh Rana, Tushar Khandelwal, Vanshika Sunil, and Yashwardhan Tiwari. Only two are not there, Samriddhi and Ritik. Fine. So, okay. So, let me just take you to the presentation itself. Okay, yesterday we studied about the directors. So today we will be studying about the company's management, which comprise of the independent directors also. So, and one more chapter is there regarding this, that is prevention of operation and mismanagement, which will also be covered over here. Okay, in this company's management chapter, that's company's management, that is a lecture number 18, which we will be having. I think I will be able to cover that today itself. So company management, that is the independent directors. Any one of you, can you tell me, can any one of you throw light on the concept of independent director and why it is needed? Any one of you? It will be good if you will participate. Come on. Any one of you? Asta Khandelwal. Ankit. You have scored 9 marks. Ankit, you should tell about something about company management, that is independent. Who are independent directors? Come on.
So someone who does not have a direct relationship with the company.
Okay. Very good. Why these people are required, Ishpreet? Why we need to have independent directors? Karan Agarwal? Janvi Singh? Janvi? Any idea why we have to have this independent directors in case of public companies? Come on. Janvi, are you there? Shreya, mark Janvi absent for the day. Kushal Agarwal? Kaushal Agarwal?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Kaushal. What are independent directors?
The
Yes.
directors, those who plan something, those who make strategy.
Independent directors. Shubham Singh Rana.
Yes, sir.
Independent directors.
नहीं पता सर.
Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Aditya.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What is
Sir,
independent director?
sir, I don't know, sir.
Sanya.
So independent directors are kind of like the outside directors. They belong to the board of directors, but they don't have any particular relationship with the company.
Okay. So what do they do?
They perform all the functions that a manager performs, that a director performs, I should say.
Why are they appointed?
So basically,
So for the interest of the shareholders.
Very good. Very good. For the interest of the shareholder.
Yes,
So
sir.
let us just learn something more about the company management, that is
Sir?
independent directors. Yes,
So independent director and non-executive directors are the same, aren't they?
Yeah, to some extent.
Okay.
All independent directors are non-executive, but all non-executives are not independent. I hope you understand.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so non-executive directors may be appointed by someone by the company. They may be non-executive, but it's not always that they are independent. Okay, independent directors are appointed as an independent director. Okay, so their purpose is to just overview and overlook the company, to just look into the affairs of the company, and it should not. The main function is that the affairs of the company should not, go beyond the, you can say, the interest of the shareholders, or the rights of the shareholders should be properly protected, and the rights of the company as such should be properly there. This is ensured by the independent directors mainly. And as they are on the board, so independent directors can also help the board in achieving other things also by their know-how, by their skills and all that. But the foremost function of an independent director is of a watchdog, okay, which actually sees that nothing should go wrong, neither in favor of shareholders nor in the disfavor of the company. Okay, so the company management should be unbiased. That what is taken care of by these directors. Okay, let us just see. So an independent director is a member of a board of directors who does not have a material or pecuniary relationship with the company or a related person. So this is what is a clear-cut definition. So he is also a non-executive director. He is also known as an outside director also. Okay. So independent means totally independent. He must not be influenced by any of the things which are for the company as such. So he should not be influenced by any of the things, any of the directors of the company, or he should be treated as an independent one only. Okay, so those are called independent directors. So next is, now who is an independent director? You can say, let us just elaborate it a little bit more. Okay, so section 149(6) gives the definition of independent director in relation to a company means a director other than a managing director or a whole-time director or a nominee director. Okay, so a managing director, a whole-time director are executive director. Nominee director, just now Saurabh asked me, that's a nominee director can be a, you can say he can be a non-executive, but he is not a independent. Hope Saurabh you are able to understand it now. So nominee director can be a non-executive, but because he has not been appointed as an independent one, he will not be independent director, because this particular nominee director is having something to do with the people those whom he has been to whom he has been nominated. I hope you get the point. Okay, suppose for example, nominee director has been appointed by suppose the debenture holders. Okay, so debenture holders have nominated a person as a director on the board of the company. So this is a nominated director will be seeing the favor of debentures, but debenture holders, but he will not be independent director as such. Getting my point? Saurabh?
Yes, sir.
Sanya, you got it?
Yes,
Shreya?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Janvi? Janvi is still not there. Astha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, it means a director other than a managing director, whole-time director, or a nominee director who is in the opinion of the board is a person of integrity and possess a relevant expertise and experience. So see, what is required is a person of integrity. Okay, he must be very, very honest. Okay, then who is or was not a promoter of a company or its holding subsidiary or associate company, so he must not be a promoter of the company in which he is appointed as independent, because otherwise he will not be independent. Okay, neither he is a promoter of, you can say, any of its holding or subsidiary or associate company. Okay, further, who is not related to the promoters or directors in company, its holding subsidiary or associate. So neither he himself is a director in any of the or director or promoter in any of the company or its subsidiary or the holding company. At the same time, he must not be related to any of the directors of these companies also. Okay, so that's why his independent nature has to be established, that he is really a independent one. Next, who has or had no pecuniary. Pecuniary relationship is monetary relationship with the company. Actually, he must not be having any interest in the company at all. Okay, interest in the sense that he must not be in the office of the profits. Okay, of the company in which of the company, or and also its holding subsidiary or associate company also, means he should not be any pecuniary relationship even with the promoters of these companies. Okay, or directors of these companies also during two immediately preceding financial years or during the current financial year. So current
Excuse me,
financial
sir.
year, just 2 years before, he should not
So,
be having any. Yeah.
sir,
Something.
sir, can this director be a part of any of companies which has similar sort of business?
Yeah. It can be. He can be an independent director in another company which is having a similar, because see, he is independent. He will guide both the companies to proceed further. But again, because he is a man of integrity, he must not lose or he must not leak the information between the two companies. Okay, so he must
So,
not do that. Yeah. Yeah,
so
sir.
can independent director has the share of the company?
Independent director, yeah, can hold the shares of the company. He can hold
But
the
sir,
shares of the.
but if he holds the share, then उसका interest लाया हो जाएगा उस company के
नहीं
अंदर.
नहीं नहीं, उसका इंटरेस्ट शेयर होल्डर्स में होगा बेटा, उसके लिए तो ऑलरेडी वो आ ही रहे हैं. He will be interested only as a shareholder, not as a director or promoter.
Okay.
देखो, डायरेक्टर और प्रमोटर के पास में भी शेयर्स होते हैं. Directors and promoter of the company also hold shares, but they are directors. They are directly interested. What I mean to say over here is, Saurabh, you are very correct. Your contention is also very correct. Here, what I want to say, or what the law wants to say over here, is that the independent director must be totally independent. Means he must actually take care that these directors who are on the board of the companies should not take such a decision which is actually against the company or the shareholder. He has to see this. Okay, so being a shareholder, he can do it, because anyone can be a shareholder of any of the companies. Okay, so it's not like that. So he just, as I have told you, he is just a watchdog. Okay, Saurabh, is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, and should not be with any pecuniary relationship with the company as such. So none of whose relative, उसके relative भी नहीं होना चाहिए. None of whose relative has or had pecuniary relationship or a transaction with the company, its holding subsidiary or associate company, or with their promoter directors amounting to 2% or more of its gross turnover. उस कंपनी के ग्रॉस टर्नओवर का 2% से ज्यादा का, मतलब if a person is having a stake of, his relative is having a stake of less than 2%, then no problem. Okay, then it is not called substantial. Or the total income of 50 lakh rupees, or such higher amount as may be prescribed, whichever is lower, during the two immediately preceding financial years or during the current year. So this is a 2%, so he cannot deal more than 2%. Okay, or actually it is not he, his relative, he must not deal anything, but his relative also must not deal more than 2% as such. Okay, and further he possesses such a qualification as may be prescribed. Okay, I hope I'm able to make you clear about the independent directors. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So next is the status of the appointment. The independent director will not only be an employee of the company, and the appointment letter shall not constitute a contract of employment. He cannot be an employee. Otherwise, he will be having that office of profit. He may do certain things which is in the favor of those employees in which those employees or class of the employees in which he belongs to. So director will be paid such a remuneration by way of sitting fees. So he will be remunerated. It is not like that the company will be taking the work free of cost. He will be remunerated, but he will be remunerated in the way of sitting fees for meetings of the board and its committee as may be decided by the board and as approved by the members from time to time. Okay. Next is what is the objectives of an independent directors? Actually, this is something wrongly written. Double times it has come up. The cursor has gone. You guys just wait, yeah. Oh. Yes. System has become very slow and the internet also. Fine. So we are back. So objectives of having an independent director. Number one, it sets the company's strategic aim. Why he is here? He is actually in order to ensure the direction of the company is moving in a correct direction and that company is having a strategic aim which are to be properly fulfilled. Second is ensure the necessary financial and human resources are in place for the company to meet its objective. So actually these are the functions of a director only. Okay, a director sees all these things, but he has to ensure all these things according along with the same. Review the performance management of the company, set the company's values and standards, and ensure that its obligation to its association members and other are understood and met properly. Okay. Next, independent directors act as a guide to the company. Their roles broadly include improving the corporate credibility, governance standards, functioning as a watchdog, I have already told, and playing a vital role in the risk management of the company. It is very, very important that anything which the company does must not be risky. It should not exceed the limits which are determined for the working of that company. So independent directors play an active role in various committees set up by the company to ensure the good governance. So they ensure the good governance of the company as such that the governance of the company is for the betterment of the society and the company should function only as per whatsoever are the aims of the company for which they have established. Next is number of independent directors. So section 149(4) provides that every listed public company shall have at least 1/3 of the total number of directors as an independent director, and the central government may prescribe the minimum number of independent directors in case of a class or a classes of a public company. So how much is what is the key number over here? 1/3 of the board must comprise of independent directors. So rule 4 of the company's rules 2014 provides that following class or classes of the company shall have at least 2 independent directors irrespective of their board. Okay, these must have at least 2 independent directors. कौन से companies? The public companies having a paid up share capital of 10 crore rupees or more, or public companies having a turnover of 100 crore rupees or more, or a public company which have in aggregate outstanding loans, debenture, deposit exceeding 50 crore rupees. So all the public companies, public limited companies, or the companies whose name are ending with the word limited, they must have at least 2. Or you can say, if we see both the rule 4 and the section 149(4) together, we can find that there can be 2 or 1/3 of the board, whichever is higher. This will be the thing. Okay. Suppose, for example, there are 9 members in the board of directors. So 1/3 means 3 members must be the independent one. If there are 7 members, then also 1/3 of the board has to be independent one. In that case, also 3 directors will have to be there as an independent. If there are 5 directors, then 2 directors should be independent. If there are 4 directors, then also 2 directors must be independent in case of a public company with the share capital 10 crore, turnover 100 crores, or the loan amount exceeding 50 crore rupees. So this is the point to be considered. I will be asking this in your MCQs. Okay. Next is exempted classes. So these companies are not prescribed to have any independent director. Which companies? Number 1, unlisted company is not at all unlisted company, which is a joint venture, cannot be it may not require any independent director. Further, a wholly owned subsidiary or a dormant company is also not required to have a independent director. Why? Because if a wholly owned subsidiary is there, then this wholly owned subsidiary will be governed by the company which actually owns the subsidiary. So all the affairs of this subsidiary will be governed by that company, and that company who is having the subsidiary, the holding company itself, will be having sufficient number of independent directors so as to influence the board of, or you can say as to influence the working of this subsidiary also. Okay. In case of a private company, so private companies are also, because private companies are also not listed. So private company cannot go for listing. Why? Because private companies do not have public involved. So when public is not involved, the shares are not required to be listed, and rather they are not listed at all. Okay. So in that case, what will happen? They will also not need any independent director. Actually, what the thing is, why independent director is used? Independent directors are used, or independent directors are required only when the public money is substantially involved. Okay, when some private people are doing the things, they can do it privately because public money is not substantially involved. That's why it is the independent director is also not required, because more transparency is required when the public money is substantially involved, and there are higher chances of having fraud with the money of the public when it is there. So that's why in order to safeguard that, independent directors are required. Okay. So however, a private company may appoint them if the board of the is of the opinion. So if the private company wants to have an independent director, nobody stops them to appoint an independent director if they want it. Okay. Next is the qualification of independent director. Rule 5 of the Companies Rule 2014 provides that an independent director shall possess appropriate skills, experience, and knowledge in one or more fields of finance, law, management, sales, marketing, administration, research, corporate governance, technical operation, or other disciplines related to the company's business. So these are the domains in which the knowledge is required. The independent directors are required to have the knowledge of in order to see that the working of the company goes on well. Further, the manner how how they are selected. So manner of selection. So according to section 151 of the Act, independent directors may be selected from a data bank of eligible and willing persons maintained by the company. The company shall put data bank of independent directors on website of Ministry of Corporate Affairs or any other notified website. Company must exercise due diligence before selecting a person from the data bank referred to as above as an independent director. So the company will pick up the person from the data bank created by the company for the purpose of appointment of independent directors. So company must exercise due diligence, means the company must think diligently that who will be the person who will be best suited for them to be an independent director. So this section further demands that appointment of independent director has to be approved by the members in the general meeting. Okay, so whomsoever you are appointing as a director, as an independent director, must also be approved by the shareholders in the general meeting. Why? Because this person has been appointed for the purpose of looking into the affairs of the company, so that it should be in the favor of the shareholders and the company itself. Okay, so that's why shareholders must look into the uh, uh, appointment of the person at the time of general meeting, and it should be properly noted along with the explanatory statement. Okay. Next, application in the data bank. I have already told you about the data bank. So any person who desires to get his name included in the data bank of the independent director shall make an application to the agency in form DIR1. So application for inclusion of the name in the data bank of independent directors, which includes the personal, educational, professional, work experience or other boards related to the applicant. So the agency may charge a reasonable fee from the applicant for inclusion of his name in the data bank of the independent directors. An existing or applicant of such data bank of the independent directors shall intimate any changes in his particular within 15 days of to the agency. So agency can actually appoint them by taking their application in the form DIR1. So next is Rule 6.7 prescribes that a data bank posted on the website shall be accessible at the specified website, be sustainably identical to the physical version of the data bank, be searchable on the parameters, okay, and be presented in the form or the formats convenient for both printing and viewing the online, could contain a link to obtain the software required to give. These all things are not that much important, but how it actually is appointment done, that is one. So declaration is to be given by the independent director. What is declaration? Section 149(7) provides that every independent director shall, at the first meeting of the board in which he participates as a director, and thereafter at the first meeting of the board in every financial year, or whenever there is any change in the circumstances which may affect his status as an independent director, gives a declaration that he meets the criteria of independence as provided in subsection 6. Okay. So section 149(10) further provides that it gives the view about the tenure of the independent director. So an independent director shall hold office for a term up to 5 consecutive years on board of a company, but shall be eligible for reappointment on passing a special resolution by the company, and disclosure of such appointment has to be done in the board. So for how much years he can be appointed? 5 years. Okay, so he can be appointed maximum for 5 years, which is again subject to reappointment by passing a special resolution. Next, section 149(11) states that without contravening the provision of section 149(10), no independent director shall hold office for more than 2 consecutive terms. Okay, so for the 2 consecutive terms means a person can be an independent director of a company for continuously for 10 years. Okay, so but his appointment must be renewed as per section 149(10) after 5 years. So maximum term for which a person can be appointed is 5 years, which can be renewed only once. So a person cannot be a director of a company for more independent director of a company for more than 10 years. Okay. So again, now this again, it can be renewed. Okay. So what it says, section 149(11) states that no independent director shall hold office for more than 2 consecutive terms, but such independent director shall be eligible for appointment after expiration of 3 years of ceasing to become an independent director. Okay. So proviso to section 149(11) that an independent director shall not during the said period of 3 years be appointed in or be associated with the company in any other capacity. Otherwise, what will happen? It will disqualify him. Why? Because if you see the provisions of the other provisions of the section 149, it says that a director must not be in the in the business with the company, or he should not be in the pecuniary relationship of the company for 2 years and the financial year which is running. So he cannot hold. So if he is having certain place of profit between in 2 years after being, for suppose for example, a director has completed his term of 10 years. So first 5 years and he was reappointed. Again, he just served for the company as an independent director for 5 years more. So 10 years term is completed. And after 10 years, he has to be silent for 3 years. So, or otherwise, he can be independent director of some other company for 3 years. And then afterwards may again join the same company of his desire as an independent director, but for these 3 years he must not be having any relation with the company, which actually makes him which defeats his independency. Okay. Next is actor fees and remuneration. I hope it is clear to everyone. Saurabh, समझ
Yes,
में आ
sir.
रहा है?
Yes, sir.
Shreya, where are you?
Yes, sir.
Where is Shara Khan these days? Shara used to take part in the class and she is not at all visible these
Yes,
days.
sir.
Shara, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Section 149(9) provides that an independent director shall not be entitled to any stock option. So, ESOP will not be allowed to him. Okay. So, stock option and may receive remuneration by way of fee provided under subsection 5. So, no other option except the sitting fees will be provided to the independent director. Reimbursement of expenses. So if he comes, then any other out of the pocket expenses, if he does for attending the meeting or anything else, that he will be reimbursed for. Okay. Sitting fees will be paid for attending each meeting of the board as well as the audit committee meeting attended as per the provisions of section 197. Okay, so he will be paid. So this is fixed by the board from time to time how much is to be paid. So further, the independent director will be entitled to claim the reimbursement of all her traveling, hotel and other incidental expenses incurred by him in performance of the duties as a director of the company as per provisions of section as the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, so it means that all other things also will be done by the independent director, and in fulfilling his duty as an independent director he is entitled to proper reimbursement of all the out of the pocket expenses which he will be doing for the company. Okay, next is liability. So section 149(12) provides that notwithstanding anything contained in the act, and an independent director, a non-executive director not being a promoter or key managerial person shall be held liable only in respect of such acts of omission or commission by a company which had occurred with his knowledge attributable through board processes and with his consent or or convenience or other, or where he had not acted diligently. So he will be responsible only to some extent, not to the full extent, because he might not be having knowledge. So as we say, directors are responsible for the company, but their responsibility will be limited to the extent they are not at all attentive, they are not sincere, they are not diligent. So to that extent only they will be held responsible. Otherwise, if they prove to the contrary, if they prove that they were not having any knowledge of the things and the other directors have taken their decision by their own, they may not be held responsible for that. So, in short, we can say the lifting and piercing of corporate veil may not happen for the independent director if they have acted diligently. Okay. Next is termination. So independent directors may resign from their position at any time, and if they wish to do so, so they are requested to serve a reasonable written notice for the to the board. So continuation of their appointment is contingent on getting re-elected by the members according to the provisions of the of 2013, because if they have to be re-elected, then every 5 years they can be re-elected also. They will not be, and if their term is over, then they may be terminated. So they will not be entitled to compensation if the members do not re-elect them. So it is not a thing. So it's there. One director cannot say I have not been re-elected, so what I will do sitting at home, so you give me compensation, so no compensation can be claimed, because this is a term type contract which after fulfilling of the term it gets terminated, it gets over by its own. Okay, so this is all about your independent director. Okay, so any question regarding independent director, if you want to ask, you can ask me, or if you have any doubts, we can get those doubts clear. Yes, anyone, anything? Independent directors. Hope you have understood this. Fine. So tomorrow we will just go for this prevention of operation and mismanagement of the company. Fine. So just let me take your attendance. Then we may move on. Okay. So please say yes, sir, if you are there in the class, right? Only those will be marked. Shreya, be attentive.
Yes, sir.
I'm taking the attendance. Asta Khandelwal, Abhigyan Gupta,
Yes, sir.
Aditya,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Ankit, Anshul Goswami, Arpan Mishra, Ashutosh Maharshi.
Yes, sir.
Asmit,
Yes, sir.
Ayush Bothra, Ishpreet Singh,
Yes, sir.
Jamima, Karan Agarwal,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kaushal Agarwal, Megha Dhuria, Naman Jalan,
Yes, sir.
Naveen
Yes,
Chandlani,
sir.
Navya
Yes,
Singh,
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Neha Singh Rathore, Preetam Milan,
Present,
Priyansh
sir.
Sharma, Raghav Dubey,
Yes, sir.
Sambhav Garg, Sanya Kamar, Sarvan
Yes,
Sinha,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Gaurav Yadav, Shara Khan,
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Shreya Dharan, Shubham Singh
Yes,
Rana,
sir.
Tushar
Present, present.
Khandelwal, Vanshika Sunil,
Yes, sir.
Yash Chaudhary and Yashwardhan Tiwari.
सर मेरा नाम आया नहीं तुषार खंडेलवाल.
Yes, sir.
Tushar Khandelwal.
Yes, sir.
Present, sir.
Okay. Yashwardhan Tiwari, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Fine, guys. Yeah, there is someone who wants to ask some question there. Yeah, ask Ashutosh Parshi. Ashutosh, have some question?
Yes, sir.
Want to ask
Sir,
something?
present लगवा रहा था सर मैं.
अच्छा अच्छा ठीक है.
सर मेरी अटेंडेंस लगा दी ना सर.
हाँ तुम्हारा लगा दिया.
थैंक यू सर.
Okay. Thank you, guys, and have a nice
Thank you,
day.
sir.
Have a
Thank
pleasant
you,
evening.
Thank you, sir.
Have a nice day, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir. Have a nice day,
Yeah.
sir.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, Shreya. Bye. Take care, guys.
Bye, sir.